Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Leaders on Purpose podcast. I'm Manal Bernoussi, and as you know, I'm usually the one asking the questions and guiding the conversations. But today, we are doing something a little different. As I have been requested for the first time ever, I am stepping into the role of the guest on my own podcast. And to make this even more special, my friend, mentor, and first ever guest on the show, Dina Al-Halou, will be taking the reins as the host.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you for doing this. The mic is yours.
So we're going to dive right into it. Okay. Normally, you always ask as first question your guest to share some defining moments about what led them on their journey. This time I'm asking you, if you were to share with us a defining moment that led you where you are here today, what would it be?
Interesting question. I do lead with that question a lot, indeed, with my guests. Thinking about one defining moment, if it has to be one, it would definitely be a time back. I think I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I was at my grandfather's house. He's a figure that really holds a special place in my heart, by the way. And I was just, playing in the living room, minding my own business. And I hear him speak with my father, like I overheard their talk. And he was telling him, that little one over there, I want you to take great care of her because she's going to be doing something special with her life. And I was like, just playing or whatever I'm doing. But those words, Gina, stayed with me ever since. And I guess it played a huge role in building my self-confidence, in building that inner trust, knowing that you are loved. And from that time, I just realized the power of words. And the profound power of words that could either, lift you up or destroy you forever. And I'm very mindful about my words, especially with my kids also.
Yes, indeed. Hence today, you are using this power on your podcast, inspiring so many people. And Leaders on Purpose podcast has become a benchmark, not only in Morocco, but in the region for inspiring leadership. Could you share with us what was the spark that ignited this journey?
Well, first of all, thank you. And I do recognize it has been a tremendous journey up until now. And I'm really so grateful for the podcast growing, for the people who are tuning in, for it to be listened in over 50 countries, and, for all the wonderful connections that it has allowed. And I'm truly grateful for that. Now, reflecting back on this spark, I think something definitely happened during COVID. At that time, we were surrounded with all the negativity around, and so much coming from the media, from counting people who were sick, who were dead, and it was like daily negative information coming towards you. And at some point I was craving for positive content. I did not want to be part of that whole negativity anymore. And so I started consuming a lot of podcasts, and I started looking for external sources of positive content, and a lot of personal development content, started consuming a lot of that. And eventually at some point I was like, all right, enough consuming, let's start producing. And let's see how I can play a role in uplifting people, how I can play a role in helping other people who were in the same situation as I was, and who are looking to just, grow into a better version of themselves. So that's
Yes.
what sparked the podcast.
I mean, I so totally understand, because when we are surrounded with so much negativity and toxicity, it actually really has a profound effect on our nervous system. And this drive that you had
it was survival, almost.
I was going to say it was
Yeah.
from survival's mode, and to give back also.
Yeah.
And the name Leaders on Purpose carries a profound weight. And could you share with us why is this word purpose so important to you?
It is so important to me, indeed. I feel purpose is such a profound word. It carries, the mission, the why, the drive, like what am I here for in this world? How can I contribute? How can I serve? And as you know, Dina, I come from the corporate world. I've been, in the corporate world for over 18 years. So, leadership was very much part of my journey up until now, and it still is. And so I was looking for a way to bridge those two worlds, leadership and aligning that with purpose. What leadership on purpose is about for me is really aligning our actions to our core values and doing that for something that is greater than ourselves, for a mission to serve a family, to serve a country, to serve a community, to serve the world, whatever it is, but really acting from a place of profound alignment with our core values and doing it for something else, someone else. And for me, that's the ultimate, power that we could be doing here while we're living on Earth.
Hence, when you talk about aligning your values with your actions, you need to know what your values are. Hence, the topic of self-development is so important to you, because there is no way you can know yourself and what drives you unless you do some inner work, some self-work. And could you share with us also your self-development journey, that little bit that led you here?
Yeah, sure. You're, obviously on point. I think that the self-development journey is obviously an ongoing journey. It's something that started around 2014 for me, when I, started exploring some seminars, reading books that were all about understanding yourself, because I have this profound conviction that in order for you to understand others, it has to start with yourself. And so self-development journey for me is about understanding our fears, understanding our triggers, understanding what motivates us, what brings this spark. And it's an unfolding journey. And then obviously you meet people, you meet mentors. That's how we met also. And I went through a lot of coaching programs. I believe very much in coaching, and I think that's really a gift anyone could give themselves, is really to be surrounded with people that will help you put that mirror in front of you, really put that mirror and question what is driving me, what's going to make me reach that true potential, what's going to make me level up to the best version of myself. And it's an unfolding journey. So, personal development is very much part of my identity today, and I read a lot of books, as you can see here. I hear a lot of podcasts, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful journey that I really invite anyone to engage on.
Indeed. And one little thing about personal development, it's also understanding our conditioning.
Yeah.
Because all our conditioning defines our choices. So that's also a very important part. And I can really see that it's also part of our identity. And this I'm going to ask you, why did you choose to do this Leaders on Purpose bilingual podcast?
Yeah.
I mean, it's both in English and in French.
It is, yeah.
And it's part of who you are, obviously, but it's a very, very special choice for a podcast to do it in two languages. Could you dive a little bit more into that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And I went back and forth on what language I wanted to put this content in at first. And as you said, it's very much related to my identity, like that's really who I am. And also it's related to my mission that drives me, which is to play a role in being a bridge between Morocco, Africa, and the rest of the world. In everything that I'm doing, my hope is to play a role in creating bridges between people, between, cultures and communities. And I felt very strongly about the need to create Moroccan African content in English in order for an international audience to connect with our storytelling, with our people, and with there's so much that is happening on here, and we have wonderful stories and beautiful leaders, and a lot is happening in this part of the world. So I really felt compelled to create Moroccan African content in English for the rest of the world to discover.
That's beautiful, really. And I think many people thank you for that. Actually, I'm definitely one of them.
Thank you
Being
so much.
both bilingual, I work in English, I work in French, I also work in Arabic. So I love that your podcast is in those two languages.
Thank you.
I know 2024 was a very difficult year for you with the passing of your dad. You've done a beautiful podcast that many people related to about grief. And as you also said in your last lessons learned from 2024, it's an ongoing journey, and you've described it so well. But at the same time, you said something that I really loved, and that the cohabitation of both grief and beautiful things at the same time, and holding the space for what might seem opposite in people's mind to opposite emotions. But in reality, they're not opposite. They coexist, they cohabitate. And could you tell us a little bit more about this year for you? Because actually, it was quite defining also.
Yeah, it was indeed. As I said, 2024 is certainly one of the most challenging years for me. With the passing of my father, who was, this figure of unconditional love for me and unconditional support. And it was such, he still is, I believe, from where he is right now. He's still rooting for me. But, I just had that unconditional support from the day I was born, and having him just believe so deeply in whatever I was doing. And it was such a beautiful relationship, and I know it's going to evolve, and I still feel his presence. I mean, it's the separation is hard, let's put it that way, but the gratitude is still there. And as I said, even though 2024 was the most challenging year on a personal level, it was very rewarding professionally. And I cannot not be grateful for that, because so much has happened, for me. And also, just noticing the growth of, friends or family. So there are all those joyful moments that happen alongside the grieving process being also held. So, as you said, it's about holding space for both, and just recognizing that it is okay. I mean, life is about highs and lows, and I'm grateful for the highs and the lows. And it is a process. There is this beautiful analogy that I shared that really resonates with me, which is that grief is like a stone, and you feel it, it's in your hand, and you put it in your pocket. It's there, it's never going anywhere. It's just that you grow stronger. So with time, you just feel it lighter. You know what I mean? So it's not going anywhere. You don't have to get over it. You don't have to move on. You're not going to move on because it's still there, but you grow up stronger, and you start feeling it lighter. And it's like, waves. It comes and goes, and just have to, whatever you are, if you're going through the grieving process, and that was my intention when I shared the episode about grief, just embrace it as it is, and it's okay.
So in your moment of lows, because we all have those,
Of course.
what helps you? where do you find solace, or or how do you ground yourself, or how do you navigate the moments of lows?
I think it's very important to have something to anchor on, and you're touching on such a pivotal topic here, Dina, because with when everything is just turning around, you have to have something that anchors you, that keeps you solid. For me, it's definitely my faith. I find so much relief and peace in having that deep knowing that whatever is happening, it's okay. It's the way it's meant to be. It's part of a divine plan. We do not always have the answers on why it has happened, but it is part of a divine plan. So for me, what anchors me the most is my faith. And, of course, being surrounded with people who love you, being surrounded with people who care for you. I mean, community is such a huge part also of it when you're going through turbulence in your life. So I'm very grateful for the people in my life, my family, my kids, my husband, my mom, my friends, you. I mean, that community is really so important in uplifting people when we are in the lows.
Many people isolate when they are in pain.
Mm.
Many people stay alone, and this isolation adds to the grief.
Mm.
What could you say to them?
I've been there, Gina. There was a moment where I just needed to be on my own, and I think it's important to acknowledge and embrace that time also. It's the time you're just healing your wounds. It's like when you see a little puppy or a rabbit being hurt, they just go into their hole and they're like licking their wound or whatever, and it's just like that time where you want to take care of yourself and just make a sense of what is going on around you. So I think that phase is okay as long as it doesn't go on in time. So take the time for yourself if you need to, but then please reach out to your friends and loved ones, because they are there for you to help you get through it. So that would be definitely my experience and my 2 cents on the topic.
No, thank you, because I know some people go through that, and as a person who inspires many, Manal, I wanted to have your input on that. We're going to go into your childhood a bit.
Are we going there?
Yes, we're going there. If you were to describe yourself as a child, were you the good girl, or were you the rebellious one?
Oh my gosh, no, definitely the good girl. Definitely, I was just that kid that just abides by the rules. And I used to have this funny thing with my mom where I would tell her, I pray God I will have a daughter like me because I was just that kid that would not create any problems, I guess, but it comes with a lot of luggage also, and I know that now. I know that now. The being on the perfectionist side, and trying to being the good girl is not the right way to go all the time. I know that for sure, but it's an ongoing learning journey, and you get to learn the positives and the negatives of each character, and it's all about balancing things. So I think it served me a lot with my studies, with my career, going through with things. That's definitely something that has helped. Now when it comes to, and I don't know if this is part of your question, but I'm just, going into some introspection here. When it comes to do your thing your own way, and don't care about what other people think, and just move on with your inner intuition. I I had to learn that the hard way, I would say.
Thank you. And you have twins, wonderful, that I personally love very
Thank you.
dearly, a boy and a girl.
Thank you.
Are they challenging you on this aspect?
Oh my gosh. So much, Tina. And I'm so grateful for that. I think, parenting children is the biggest mirror you could have on yourself, because it's like the closest relationship you could have with someone, like with unconditional love again, but then they trigger you for some reason. And that trigger is truly a gift, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day.
So who's the triggering, the boy or the girl?
I'm gonna keep that between us. You know the answer.
Wonderful, Manal. If you were going to give an advice to your younger self,
Yeah.
knowing what you know today, having been on this journey until today, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't wait for the perfect time. It does not exist.
That's good. That's a very good one.
Just listen to your intuition, listen to your heart, and take the first step. The rest will show its way.
Wonderful. Now, I think we're coming to an end.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the last questions you always give your guest.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
The best piece of advice would definitely be listen to your intuition, stay true to yourself, and no matter what, stay aligned with who you are. I feel that's something I carried with me for a long time, and I still carry with me, and I try to pass on to my children. It's really, authenticity is a huge word for me. I think it's something that is freeing, when you're just voicing things as you think them, when you're just being who you are meant to be and really staying in your own truth, it is freeing. And that's the best way of, in my opinion, and the best piece of advice that I'm keeping with me, yeah.
And what's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Play it safe. Stay where you are. You seem to have it all already, so why are you searching for anything new? I think life is too precious to play it safe. I think life is too precious to have any regrets, to not go for what your heart is calling for. And I would much rather live with failure, mistakes, than live with regrets. 100%.
I'm with you on this, sister.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I know you are.
And the last one, if there was a law you could impose on everybody, that everybody can, has to follow in the world, what would it be?
Definitely to engage on a lifelong learning journey, and to get yourself into this personal development, understanding your triggers, understanding your values, understanding who you are, aligning your whole life with what you truly are, in order for you to be your purest expression, and to make the most of this very tiny time that we're here on this earth, and really doing that from a place of alignment is such a beautiful gift. Again, life is too short to live it with pain, to live it with resentment, to live it with triggers, and it's so freeing to just face the those, some call them negatives, but it's just the darker side. We all have light and we all have darkness, and having the courage to face that just takes you on a wonderful journey. So that would be my advice, and my law, if I had, is really to have everyone engage on a self-development journey. And I truly believe that by doing so, if we had more awareness, more self-awareness, there would be less suffering in the world. there would be less wars, there would be less, conflicts, because then people would connect to this human part of all of us. I would see you in me. I would understand that we are one. We just have to meet our needs, and there are different strategies to meet that need. But that takes self-awareness. So yeah, definitely that would be the one.
Thank you, Manal. Actually, you've walked your talk. You've been on the hot seat.
I knew you wouldn't let me out of it, so I just had to be here.
Yes, you were not going to get out of it. Just one last thing I want personally to ask as my last question to you. If there was one message you would like your audience to hear, what would you like to leave them with? I know you said about the law. And this message, it's more about the future for me. So, we always said, both you and me, that we always have a theme, one word or one intention per year. Every year, what would be your theme for 2025? How do you feel about it?
The theme would definitely be growth. That's the word I'm taking on with me in 2025. I'm so excited for what's coming next. We have some things cooking together, right? I also have a wonderful lineup of speakers, both nationally and internationally, coming up. And so I'm really excited for that, exploring new things. So definitely stay tuned. I'm really, again, grateful for this time we're spending together. I'm really very much committed to this podcast, and I'm really not taking it for granted. I know that you're spending the most precious asset with me, which is your time, and I say that all the time, and I'm really excited for what's coming next. And thank you for taking the time also for that growth.
Thank you, Manal. You've walked your talk. So I guess this episode is coming to an end. Manal has been a very gracious guest. I know it was not easy for her to be sitting on the other seat. So thank you again, and stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Gina. This was fun, actually. It was less stressful than what I thought. Thank you so much for playing this role. I want to take back my role as a host now.
She can't help it.
I want to ask you the question about 2025. What's the intention you're heading towards with?
For me, I think it's going to be a year of quantum leap.
I like that.
Towards an unknown, again, a new chapter.
Wonderful. I can see it unfold for you. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you. This has been wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Likewise. Thank you.